Hey everybody, it's Joe coming to you with the high quality Petzl headlight. And why am I going all Blair Witch on it and why am I shiny? Well, it's because I'm out on one of my night hikes. I don't normally bring people along for these things, but I had such a good time shooting the other video that I thought, hey, why not? I'd come out for I'll bring you along for one of my night hikes. And partly because there's a nice bit of learning in it. In the last video I talked a little bit about solar navigation, and maybe I'll expand on that a bit more in some videos going the following weeks. But I thought I'd bring you along this time around. Obviously not bring you along because I'm not walking on this trail in the dark. Visibility is minimal, even with a torch. But when you come out at night, it really does change the game. No pun intended or no cliche, but it is walking blind. So you have to use a different set of skills, refine your skills. It's got some mental challenges involved with walking in the dark. You know, again, it'd take a while till you get to the stage like myself where you might be comfortable enough to walk on your own. But I thought I'd share some of the factors. There's always something that can be taken from all the different schools of the outdoors, whether it's bushcraft, survival, primitive skills. There always is some universal truths. And they're the ones I tend to focus on, rather than delving too deep to the left or too deep to the right. But there is certain things that you can do when you come out on a night hike, and that has its benefits. I mean, I love it. Sometimes the day is too busy, the weeks are too busy, so getting out in the car of an evening and heading up to the trail, at least you're still getting a good dose and keeping the skills sharp. So one of the first things you can do, and one of the most obvious things you can do, is tell somebody where the hell you're going. I don't know how many times I say this in video and say this at classes, but it's one thing that we just don't do. Even if you only realise it when you're halfway out the house, send a text message to whoever may need that certain text message to just tell them where you're going. Secondly, I'll always pick, I don't go Rambo, I'll always pick a very well marked trail, or a very well walked trail. One, the markings help me from getting lost, which can very easily happen in the dark, even if it's a trail you've walked 100 times. And then the second part of it is that if I fall, which has happened to me, but if I fall and twist a knee or sprain an ankle, worst case scenario is I'm out here for the next 8 hours on the trail. Because in the morning time, this being such a well-marked trail, and most people in Ireland and in Dublin would know this trail, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, there's going to be traffic on it. There's going to be people walking. So I just have to scoot my tush down there, make sure that I'm comfy with my gear that I've brought from the house, and then in the morning time, somebody will find me if I'm not able to walk. Thirdly, that behind me there is Dublin City. Oh yeah. 1.2 million people. How's about that for a backstop? I happen to know the cardinal direction or the rough direction of that city. That's a big place you're not going to miss. That's off to the left of me as we speak right now. So it's handy to know that. If you haven't got a backstop like that, I also happen to know from looking at maps that this road, which you can kind of hear in the distance because it's late at night, this trail has a road that runs perpendicular along the east facing side of it, and it runs the entire length of the trail and beyond it either side. Now when I get out of my car, which is where the car is parked, I took the bearing to that road from my car. Now because that road is so big and it's so straight and runs perpendicular to the trail, no matter where I get lost on this trail, if I have to walk straight line out of here, I can just dial in that reverse bearing and it will get me back to that road at some point along it, and that's a very big backstop to miss. You're not going to miss something like that. Another thing you can do is take note of landmarks and rivers and keep them in your diary. Other than that, you got the stars. As cliche as that sounds, again, you do have them. For example, Dublin City, again behind me here, is due north-ish. You know, 3/4 of the city is. So directly behind me and above me, up there, which you can't see because my camera isn't of the best quality, is the Big Dipper. And the Big Dipper is as clear as day up behind me there, and that's the North Star. So again, it doesn't have to be rocket science, but just stacking the variables. I happen to know the bearing that Dublin City is in. Should the compass have a bit of a problem, I happen to know that the North Star will lead me to a good chunk of the city should I stay walking with it, and it moves in a direction in the sky that it ain't going to overpass the city. Next of all, we have the Little Dipper, which is just over there. Again, you can't see. And the Little Dipper will bring me kind of towards the Docklands, thereabouts, and again travels in a pretty decent direction that it ain't going to overshoot the city. But you have those two going on there. But there's another one. Another universal one that I wanted to share with you that I haven't seen used in a long time. And in Sweden there, it was one of the pop quiz lessons at the Pathfinder school, and it's a method called lured. Yep, left, up, right, down. No, it's not a PlayStation cheat. It's not something that you can use in Sega to unlock all the coins for Sonic. It's actually a pretty good, almost universal way of finding a way with the stars, very simply and very quickly, and not needing specific constellations. So I'm going to get to where I'm going, and I'm going to set up my lured display, and I'll get back to you. Wish me luck. Okay, so, and again guys, besides the obvious, I suppose it goes without saying, don't forget your head torch. In fact, when I go out on a night hike, I always bring a spare head torch. So the first thing you're going to need anyway is a stick. And if it's a stick that you can split into 2 sticks, happy days. So we try and find a bit of low-hanging fruit while we're here. Let me see. Oh, you'll do. Okay, one more. And this is a nice white one as well. That's a good one. You'll see why later. Hey, another stick. You'll do. Oh my god, no you won't. Oh, my kingdom for a straight stick. Right. Always a stick. No. This is what happens when you're a conscientious bushcrafter. Survival situation now would be snapping these bad boys off like there was no tomorrow, but here, you'll do. Yeah, for demonstration purposes, you'll do. Back in a minute. Okay, so we're now having a relaxing lie down in the moonlight. Now these are the key elements. This is why I'm kind of happy I found my Y stick and why I found my stick like this. Normally these should be like around 1 inch thick. That's the kind of perfect diameter you're aiming for. But if all you've got is a Y stick, which is probably one of the better ones, this is what you're going to use. So once you put your 2 sticks in the ground, you're going to need them at about, you know, a 40-degree angle, 45-degree angle to each other. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do have to be able to lie down, flatten your belly, and look across the top of them here. So what you need to do is when you get them like this, you need to lie down on your belly and look down them like you'd be sighting in a scope. Ooh, that shiny face. And the reason why this is so cool is because even on a partially cloudy night like it is tonight, or if you haven't got a clue about any constellations whatsoever, you just have to be able to look down here and pick a star that you can follow, not one that's in a huge cluster or anything like that, but roughly, you know, I know that I need to be going back in this direction somewhere. So if you pick a star that you can track in the sky, which is what you're going to do now, don't need to know what constellation it is or anything like that. So once you get your star down your sights across the top of your 2 sticks or in between your 2 Y branches, whichever you prefer, you are going to spend 20 minutes to a half an hour, have a sandwich, have a cup of tea, rehydrate, and then watch where that star moves in the sky. I'm going to need to get some paper out. I'm going to track a star and see if we got it right. So bear with me. Okay, back in the game. And again, this is why I always carry my journal on me and a pencil. Journals aren't sexy until you need them, and this is exactly why. The less you got to remember, the less you got to have to think about. So you got to take note of all these things, like my backstops on my road. But I've been tracking my star, and it moved right in the sky. I tracked it for 30 minutes, so I'm pretty sure that that's the direction it was going in. Star was moving right. Tracked it for 30 minutes just to be safe. I ate a sandwich and had a cup of soup and watched the beautiful cityscape behind me. Now, so for lured to work, and again, why it's almost universal, why you don't need a particular star or a constellation, is what you're doing is you're taking your compass, which is north, south, east, west, and you're replacing it with L, U, or, and D. And that's what lured stands for. Left, up, right, down. So I happen to know that my star moved right in the sky for 30 minutes. So if my star was moving right, my star was moving south. Now I ain't checked this. If I did, I would have been better prepared. But get my compass, but I think we're about spot on because the city is behind me and I happen to know the city is north, but we are doing it live. So I just get her up there against my stick. Put the red in the shed. Hold on, need 2 hands for this bad boy. Double check, triple check where my sights are facing. And there you go. That is roughly south. There we go, we can see that there. South-ish. Not bad for 2 sticks in the ground and half an hour of your time and using a random star in the sky. Again, the only thing you got to remember is L, U, or D. And to make sure to pick a star that you can follow, that you can easily track and it's repeatable so you can see. So if our star had moved left, it would have been north. If it had moved down, it would have been west. Up is east. Left and up would have been northeast. And you can kind of see where this is going. Really simple. 30 minutes. And you can figure out where you're going at night using any star in the sky. There you go, guys. I'm going to hit the trail back to my car. Tidy up around here. And I'll catch you on the trail. So, walking back to my car, I've just come off this regular kind of desire line, is the actual official name for these things, but the desire line, which is like a really small kind of game trail looking affair, onto a main track. I thought I'd take a second to talk really quickly about, so I'm here, I'm on the main track, and just like with solar navigation, or sometimes with large city navigation, the principles are still the same. On the video on the way in, the city was on my right hand side, and even though I came off trail, I followed this small desire line to where I wanted to go. Now that I've hit this main trail again, which is perfectly flat in both directions, visibility is next to none, but I need to know that the city was on my right hand side coming up, and now it's on my left hand side, so I'm heading this way on the trail. Again, simple things, everything in the dark. Like, there we go, I've walked, sorry, just to stop, walked maybe 10 meters, there's a trail sign, say I'm going the right direction. But back there, I couldn't see nothing. So it's always nice to keep your bearings about you and take everything in the dark at half pace, because you'll miss some things. You know, that crooked tree that you walk past and you know that you have to take a right during the day, you could walk by within a meter and completely miss it when a trail is like this. Could be looking somewhere else, watching your feet, watching runoff. So just slow it down a bit when you're outside, especially in the dark. So there you go, guys. Back in the car. This is where you want to be. The reason why we talk about these skills and the skills that I showed in the video is so we can go out there, enjoy what we need to enjoy, to get back here, to go home to our flushing toilets and our electric kettles. The simple things, the simple things. But I hope it shows you that you can experience a whole different world. Some trail like this one that I've walked hundreds of times is completely different and a whole new environment in the dark, especially when you get those creepy ass deer eyes that kind of appear out of nowhere. They'll always give you a start. But I just wanted to reiterate again just a few simple points, like bringing a head torch, bringing a spare head torch or a handheld one like I had, some spare batteries for it, water, some warm food. That's the difference. During the day I tend to bring whatever, biscuits, you know, maybe an MRE or some trail mix, but when I go out at night I bring a thermos flask. I make sure there's some warm soup in it, because when you come out at night you're playing around with temperatures and changeabilities and wind and stuff that you mightn't experience during the day, and it can get a bit rough. So having a warm soup there is nice. Bit of a morale booster as well, because your first time going out on a trail, even a well walked one like this one, which I've been on hundreds of times, can still get a bit hairy at parts. Sometimes you miss a turn, sometimes you don't, and having a warm soup and stuff like that there just helps regulate your core temperature. Know your things like Lourdes, and do your research before you leave the house. Have a topographical map, do it a couple of times in the day, take note of backstops. There's that road I was talking about earlier on, and just get the lie of the land before you go out. Don't try and rush it and summit the mountain maybe on the first go round, but take it a little bit at a time and get comfortable, because that's what it's all about. Anybody can go outside and be miserable, but it takes skill and practice to go outside and be comfortable. Again, it's a little after 1 AM and I'm about to head home. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you take something away from it, and as always, thanks for your support. Big love, Forest fam. Peace.